Hey, what's up, Street Talks? The Eric from the Eric from Street Photography blog. So, this episode brought to you by da 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 Street Notes, produced by Cindy Haptic Industries and printed here in California, which is pretty awesome. And I wanted to just give you guys some insights and inspirations of street photography and hopefully how you could make better street photographs. So, I like to just kind of jump around different assignments. Okay, so one of my favorite assignments is the one arm length challenge. The basic concept is I learned this from my buddy Satoki Nagata, amazing photographer from Chicago. He found this assignment from his teacher. So, I'm stealing from everybody. And the basic concept is for a month or a week or a day, however long so you want to do it, you're only allowed to make photos from one arm length distance away, however close your subject is. And I do believe that with physical proximity comes emotional proximity, which means in today's world, the thing that we're actually afraid of the most is just getting physically close to people. And it kind of really makes no sense because as human beings, it's in our DNA to want to be around other human beings. But I think today's society, today's culture, people are afraid of each other. Like, I remember when I was a kid, I had like 100% freedom. My mom could have just let me run around and ain't nobody afraid of pedophiles or whatever. And I think that helped me become the fearless child that I was. I would leave for like 8 hours in the middle of the day and come back by dinner time. And I still remember me and my friends, we'd just ride our bikes around all around town, walk around. Uh, Even when I was living in Queens, in Bayside, Queens, with my buddies, we would walk to the pier. We'd go fishing. We would walk like 2 hours to Peter Pan Arcade. We'd play Time Crisis on like our 4 quarters, $1, and just try not to die. I had a fantastic childhood. And one of the easiest ways you could build confidence in street photography is if you have a camera. So the one arm length challenge, it could be also known as the 0.7 meter challenge. So the reason why is, ooh, nice Eric Kim strap right here with a film Leica MP. On a film Leica, the minimum focusing distance is actually 0.7 meters, which means about one arm length away. So this is actually a kind of a cool tip that I'll teach you guys. 0.7 meters, aka minimum focusing distance, or having the focusing tab all the way on the left side, more or less. That's about one arm length away. By default, I like to keep the film Leica pre-focused in the center, and by default, that's about 1.2 meters, which is about 2 arm lengths away. That's middle distance, and 45, rotating this 45 degrees to the right, that's kind of like far distance at about 5 meters. So when you're out shooting street photography, pre-focus your lens, and it doesn't really matter. Like if you could have like a Fuji or a Ricoh, like any camera that allows you to manually focus. Pre-focus it to 0.7 meters, which I think in feet is about 2.2 feet or whatever it may be. And for an entire month, I would recommend only shoot at one arm length away. And the purpose why I want you to do this assignment is it will force you to get closer to your subjects, because generally it's hard, like especially if you're starting off, it's hard to shoot that close to a subject without having them notice you. And also, generally, you'll have to interact with them. Oh no, you have to talk to people? That's horrible. So, know that for this 0.7 meter challenge, it will encourage you to talk to people, and you're gonna have to find a good reason to say, oh, there's this crazy guy named Eric Kim, and he forced me to buy a copy of Street Notes, and one of the assignments is the one arm length challenge. So, like, whatever you want it to do. Generally, the easiest way is that, oh, excuse me, miss or sir, explain why you want to make the photograph. So I think your eyes tell a story. Be honest. I think your neck tattoo looks badass. Whatever it may be. Be open and tell with your heart. No bullshit, because people could read through bullshit a mile away. Why you want to make a photo of them? And if they say yes, the rule is try to take at least 10 photos of them. So generally, if you, I mean, the saying from Robert Kappa, if your photos aren't good enough, you're not close enough. It is so true. It is so true. Like, I think almost all street photography could be improved if we just got closer to our subjects, to be frank. Of course, if you're shooting street photography with layers and blah, 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 then you want to intentionally take a step back. So I think in street photography, what we're trying to do is avoid the awkward middle distance. So maybe what that means is either photograph your subjects at 0.7 meters, about 1 arm length away, or really far, like 5 meters. Try to avoid that middle distance, 1.2 meters, which I usually have my camera pre-focus on default. And if you're going to shoot with a digital camera, so I think, of course, this is all just my opinion, the best film camera is the film Leica MP, and in terms of lens, the 35 f2 Summicron. It's a very expensive setup. The camera body, I bought it used from JapanCameraHunter.com for about $3,500 US. About the price of like a Canon 5D. And the lens was I got it used from my buddy Todd for about maybe $2,500 US. Also very expensive, but the price of like two Canon L lenses. So whatever, I'm a spoiled American. But the best digital camera known to man, also with the black murdered out Air Kim strap, which is going to be sold soon, is the digital Ricoh GR version 2. Honestly, like, I think film photography is way better than digital photography because it looks better, it'll last longer, and it gives me more zen. But in terms of, I think, if I could just choose one, I would just choose this camera for the rest of my life. The reason is that it has a little pop-up flash. I like using the flash. And also, it has a very useful macro mode up here. So if I want to make a photo of me, cheese Eric, it's actually pretty good. Is that crazy guy? Anyways, so the fact that you could pre-focus it, and there was this great commercial I remember as an American growing up. It's like this guy named Ron Popeil or something. He sold rotisserie chicken makers. So essentially the idea is that there's this machine. You just you just throw in a whole chicken. You just push one button, and then he sold like 1 million. He said, "Set it and forget it. Set it and forget it." Things that rhyme generally are memorable. So one thing I've been experimenting with, and this is actually something that a lot of my students suggested to me, just why not just use auto ISO? And I've been thinking a lot about it. I think for me, generally when I'm shooting black and white, ISO 1600 is better because it allows you to have faster shutter speed. But now I'm actually experimenting shooting more with color. On the Ricoh GR, I try not to shoot over ISO 800 for color. It kind of starts looking a little bit nasty. So in terms of the settings, I just keep it on auto ISO, and if I just flip through my menu, spot AF, RAW plus JPEG, and even now that I'm just shooting more color, often the JPEGs actually look better than any RAW files I could process. But anyways, also if you're interested in getting free presets, just Google Air Kim presets. You can download all my presets for free. They're optimized on the Ricoh GR. And so the reason why I think this camera is the best is it has macro mode, it has a flash, it fits in your front pocket, and it's all murdered out black, and everything all black is way cooler. What you could do is when you're shooting street portraits with the Ricoh GR, just keep it pre-focused on, just keep it in macro mode. So all the photos you had to shoot is in macro mode. I learned this from my buddy Thomas Loitard. You know you're close enough when your camera doesn't focus anymore. So I think it's actually a pretty good rule in terms of photography. So if your photos, your camera doesn't focus anymore, you're close enough. So yeah, I think that's a pretty good assignment. The 1 arm length challenge in street photography, or the 0.7 meter challenge, whatever you want it to be. And let's see what else. There's some other stuff I want to. Okay, so I just want to read you guys some tips from Street Notes. So remember that generally, so I'm looking here in the back page. 2 arm lengths away is generally 1.2 meters. Useful to know. When zone focusing, use f8, ISO 1600, pre-focus to 1.2 meters. When in doubt, use P, program mode. For more dramatic shadows, shoot at -1 or -2 exposure compensation. Experiment using a flash when shooting against the sun or when you're subject to the shade. In terms of editing and post-processing, when in doubt, ditch. For a project, processing color and consistently in terms of black and white crop, black and white conversion. Do not use a watermark, those are ugly. Post-process and moderation, it's kind of like adding salt to your food. A little bit of salt makes your food taste better, too much makes it taste nasty. And if you can make 1 good photo a month, you're actually doing quite well. In terms of composition quick tips, take 3 steps closer. Once again, if photos aren't good enough, your camera isn't expensive enough. I'm just kidding. Your photos aren't good enough, you're not close enough. Look at the edges of the frame, get a clean background. And when I say look at the edges of the frame, so when you're shooting on either an LCD screen or whatever, this is actually a very important composition tip. So when you're shooting in street photography, whatever you're focusing on, look at the edges of the frame and try to get look at the edges of the frame and try to get the edges of the frame to look as clean and minimalist as possible and have no distractions on the edges. Or if you're shooting with a viewfinder, generally we tend to get pigeonholed in just the center of the frame. Rather, what you want to do is, I'm doing this to the webcam, look at the edges of the frame to make sure the edges of the frame and also the background is relatively clean. Look for gestures. Hand gestures often make for more interesting photos. And the last thing is work the scene, which means take a lot of photos of the same scene. And so why would you buy Street Notes when all this information is more or less like free in my 2,700 blog post? For me, frankly speaking, I am way too addicted to technology. I love the concept of having something small, having something that's pocket sized, something that could fit in my back pocket, something that could inspire me whenever I'm lacking inspiration. And and obviously I'm biased because this is our own product. But the more I think about Street Notes, it's like such a good product. Like it's such a good book. And people tend to think that like big stuff should be more valuable, but often small stuff is more valuable because in terms of size, like, how can I even judge this? So imagine this is like my eye, right? It's like the size of Street Notes. It's kind of like maybe about the size of an iPhone Plus or a little bit bigger. And you could just, when you're on your commute or just tossing your camera bag, you're at the coffee shop, just just keep it with you and help it. Hopefully it keeps you inspired. Essentially it's just to inspire you. So we even have like 40 more street photography assignments. And yeah, so just buy Street Notes. If you have other friends who are interested in shooting street photography, or they just want inspiration, or it's like someone's birthday, pick up a copy of Street Notes. I mean, I think it's pretty cheap. It's like $20. I mean, we spend $20 on a bag of hipster coffee beans, which I do. We spend $20 on, I don't know, like lunch, if you live in Santa Monica, or dinner. Street Notes is the price of 3 almond milk cappuccinos. Yeah, I think we all have 20. I mean, fucking, this camera costs $600, not cheap. Spend like $5,000 on a camera. Why can't we not spend 20 bucks on a book? Okay, so buy Street Notes. And the biggest reason why you should buy Street Notes is because every time Cindy makes an order of Street Notes, either you can sell it, you can buy it on our blog. So just Google Eric Kim Street Notes blog, whatever, or just go to this, go to the Eric Kim blog, and then in the menu, click, and look for shop, and just find it. Every time Cindy gets an order and sells a bunch on Amazon or directly on our website, she gets super excited and happy. Cindy, she's like, "Yeah, we sold a bunch of Street Notes today," and then that makes me happy because we believe in empowering you with books. And obviously this helps us make money. And my ultimate goal is to open up like these like local photography community centers for disadvantaged youth. And the more of these we could sell, the more money I could make, the more we could help the world. All right, thanks so much for watching, guys. Peace out.